So in this video, we look at the 2022 science paper 2, and I want to show you how to answer a few questions or how you could have actually gone about and give you a lot of ideas. So let's start with B1. It says the following experiment was set up to investigate factors that affect the rate of diffusion of gases. During the experiment, a cloud of white smoke was seen as the ammonia and hydrogen gas reacted. So this is the experiment: cotton wool soaked in ammonia solution, then cotton wool soaked in hydrochloric acid. Then the question there says that define the term diffusion. So if you still remember, what exactly is diffusion? So diffusion, diffusion, you can simply say diffusion is the movement, so the movement of particles, from a region of high concentration, to a region of low concentration, and that is what we call as being diffusion. So you need to remember that very important aspect that they are going to be asking you. Then B says which of the particles for ammonia or hydrochloric acid will move faster. No doubt about it, we are going to have ammonia particles. So ammonia particles are simply going to move faster. That is NH3. Now, what is the reason why we are saying that ammonia particles will actually move, faster? Well, the reason is very simple. If you calculate the relative molecular mass of ammonia and HCl, you are going to find that the mixture for ammonia, which is 3 plus 7. So if you look at it here, nitrogen, there are 3 times 1, and there it is 1 by 14. So that will give us 17. This one should be about almost 36. So you can see that this almost goes twice there. No wonder we are saying that that will diffuse faster. So it has to do with what we are calling as being, the relative molecular mass of the particles. Then C1 says, at which point A to D along the tube T will the white cloud be seen? So at what point is it actually going to form? Yeah, it is true that the fume may actually form between C and D. It is actually possible that the fume or the white cloud may be seen closer to the hydrochloric acid, but it says at what point A to D in this case might we actually see it. So if you look at it, it may actually move twice as fast. I think either C or D would have been okay, but I think I would have actually gone for D in this case. C2 says explain your answer in C1 in terms of movement of particles. So how would we have explained that? I would have said ammonia particles. So ammonia particles are lighter than hydrochloric acid or hydrogen chloride, hydrochloric acid particles. So they diffuse faster. So that's the idea. So that makes actually the cloud to be formed near the hydrochloric acid as opposed to that, because the particles are much lighter and hence they'll move faster. In fact, they can move almost twice as fast, and that's why I'm saying that they'll be formed somewhere at point D. Then D says state one factor that affects the rate of diffusion in the experiment above. So one factor that affects that is what we call, if you want you can say the relative molecular mass. So the relative molecular mass can actually affect, you can also talk about, in this case, maybe the temperature also, but the relative molecular mass is the one that is actually playing a very bigger role. Okay, then D2 says, state a safety precaution you'd take when carrying out the experiment. Well, this experiment, when ammonia and hydrochloric acid react, they may produce ammonium chloride. Some toxic fumes are actually going to be there. So the cardinal point that you need to carry when, or the safety precaution that you need to carry when carrying out this experiment is that it needs to be carried out in a well ventilated. So we can simply say that the experiment, should be carried out in a well ventilated area or fume cupboard. Yeah, so it should be carried out in a well ventilated area, or you can use a fume cupboard, because both gases are actually harmful irritants. So both of the two gases can actually cause irritation. No wonder you want to carry in such. Hopefully you are getting the concept of that. In the next video, I'll be answering, B and B2 and B3. Please watch.